The extraction of metadata from the digital library requires the choice of an appropriate format. Metadata can be exported from the ICAT catalog in multiple formats, as keyword value pairs in a text file, as pipe delimited text, as an XML file, as a JSON JavaScript object notation file. The metadata file can be saved in the data grid as an independent source for the descriptive metadata for an iRODS digital object. Separate metadata files can be created for each digital object, or a single metadata file can be created for all files in a collection. A rule that stores the descriptive metadata in a separate XML file in the data grid for each file in a collection is available at LifeLibeZone Home RW More Rules dmp-createBulkXML.r. The rule dmp-createBulkXML uses the schema shown here to export descriptive metadata. Note that this schema is the same as the XML schema used to bulk load metadata as descriptive attributes on a file. It defines an AVU. For each AVU, there is a target path name, an attribute name, an attribute value, and an attribute unit. Each metadata attribute for a file is written out separately. The target path name for the file that has the metadata attribute is specified. The triplet AVU is written out, including the units field. The rule to export the metadata for all files in a collection is shown here. The rule loops over the files in all of the sub-collections of the home collection, creating an XML file for each of the files in the sub-collections. The rule to export metadata as an XML file has two input parameters. *rel call is a relative collection name whose default value is sub1. *res is a storage resource name whose default value is lifelib resource 1. The rule uses two policy functions, check call input and check resource input, to verify that the input variable names are an existing collection and storage resource. A query is constructed to find all of the sub-collections and files in the home collection. A loop is then done over the files. For each file, the name for an associated XML file is created by appending .xml to the file name. The XML file is created in the same directory as the original file. A query is constructed to retrieve all of the descriptive metadata attributes for the file. The metadata attributes are written to the XML file using the format specified by the schema. The file is closed and the next file in the sub-collection is processed. The rule dmp-createBulkXML can be modified to improve reuse. As the rule is currently written, the XML files are stored in the same directory as the original files. This means that if the rule is re-executed, each XML file will get a metadata attribute file. A better approach is to store all of the metadata files in a separate directory. Another approach is to create a single manifest file holding all of the metadata attributes for the files in the collection. This could be used to augment the information shipped in BIGIT containers. See Module 103. A rule can be written to apply the extracted metadata to a copy of each file in an archive. This replicates the metadata as well as the file content. A rule can be written to extract the metadata from a collection and then use the extracted metadata as a template for other collections. Take 7 minutes to complete exercise 63. Export metadata from files in a collection as a separate XML file for each collection file. Check that you have added metadata to each file. Run the rule LifeLibeZone Home RW More Rules dmp-createXML. Access your account on the Lifetime Library and load one of the XML files into the sub-collection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.